Hi, Steve here, and this video is for um, only you who are in the world and finding the energetics of the world seeming to be difficult. I'm making this video because I'm a person in a body on the planet finding the energetics of this world difficult. Now, I am pretty much separate from the news of the world, other than from time to time when one of my clients feels like they need to really inform me about something horrible that's just occurred, which seemingly, I mean, with 8 billion people, supposedly, I've not met all of them, so I'm just trusting that there may possibly be 8 billion people on the planet. Seems like a lot of people on the planet. I'm just trusting with 8 billion people on the planet and with countries seemingly lost in being out for themselves, or even the small group of leaders of countries being concerned with being out for themselves and thereby representing the country in a dysfunctional way by starting wars with other countries or, you know, these years of manipulating others so that people can take their stuff. And I'm not going to point at any particular um, groups per se, other than to mention that it's my understanding that at one point, the British Empire controlled 70% of the world's population. So, and they're this little island. So it gives hope for me that from this little island that I live on, that I can control 70% of the world's population. Okay. So, I, yeah. So let's just keep this real. So, in case the word tarot, Tarot, brings up your stuff, and you feel like, oh, you got to turn the channel off because I use the word tarot. Today, I'm going to give um, a, tar- um, a tarot reading for the world. And if you say it's not tarot, it's tarot, it's not potato, it's potato, whatever you feel where you have to be right, that's part of what we'll probably be working with in this tarot reading. I've done this once before. I'm doing it again just because I have had to work so hard today. It's felt hard to me, hard work, to be in a good place energetically inside myself. And the energies of the world were just very distracting. And so I found myself just kind of like in one of those places, a long grumble, 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 Eeyore. Oh, I guess it's my birthday. I'm supposed to have a good time, whatever. Some real kind of down energies. And I'm not willing to stay in those very long. And so sometimes I turn to the tarot cards as a means of accessing the subconscious or the consciousness of the world, the larger world. And so I did that for myself this morning. And it was really talking about, for my own reading, to stop worrying, to stop continually worrying about the world and what's going on in the world, even though I'm disconnected from the news, but even worrying about how the world is doing energetically. So I took that, in, and in the dream world, I've been being taught that it's not how the world is appearing to me that's important. It's what I am tuning into inside myself that then is creating an energetic that I'm resonating with, that I'm then having move out into the world. And for me, the focus has been on the deep self. You can right now, you can just say, I connect with my deep self. You can go into your deep self and you can feel the feelings that are at the core of yourself, in the center of your spine, in the center of your physicality, in the energetic center of your toroidal field. So you have energy coming in from the top, you have energy coming up from the bottom, energy goes up, energy goes down. It connects us with the higher realms. It makes us more stable in the earthly realms, which are also energetic realms. So connecting to that deep self typically will bring an experience of peace. One needs to keep their focus, and it always makes me yawn. I'm going to break my mother's rule and not necessarily cover my mouth because I'm yawning. It tends to cause us to feel peace. And I like the term the peace that passes all understanding. Like there's a level at the core of our being that is at peace. And even if our mind feels disturbed, if our heart feels disturbed, if our gut sensing feels disturbed, even if those three minds, the mind of the head, the mind of the heart, the mind of the gut, even if those three minds feel disturbed, when you go to the core of yourself, can be referred to as the deep self, you will be aware of peace. And you will be aware of this movement of energy up and down your spine, where you feel peace moving up and down your spine. It's like riding an elevator, the elevator of consciousness, and you go up into that. You open up the crown chakra. You feel more connected with the light. You open up the sacral or ground chakra, and you feel more connected with the earth. And when your chakras at the bottom of your feet are open and you feel yourself grounding into the earth, ground all the way down to the healing center of the earth. That's the best place you can ground to. Your feet will start tingling and your chakra will feel like it's getting bigger. I find it's better to keep that chakra flat. It can get wider like a pizza, but when it's flat, I'm more stable on my feet. When it expands like a globe, I feel less stable on my feet. So that was just kind of, maybe that's just some preliminary information. I think we're just going to make this maybe a 2 or 3 part video. I guess not. So I just had a message from above. No, we're going to just keep going with this. So today, which is March 26th of 2025, I asked the universe, asked the deep self, the higher self, the consciousness of the world, to assist me to pull cards for the world so I could touch in to how the world was doing. And I asked for a reading. I asked to pull cards for where the world was at, kind of where the world is coming from, where the world is coming from the past. And so I got Um, this card, which is the 21 of trumps. Trumps are called the major arcana. And the 21 of trumps is the universe card. So this is what we're coming out of. This is what we've been working with. And what we've been working with is according to the book, and I use the Tarot Handbook, Practical Application of Ancient Visual Symbols by Angeles Aryan, who I think has a doctorate in, who knows, social work or something. But she has a fascination with the tarot. So the universe card, so this is the past. So the universe card is the 21 of trumps, and it's about completion and integration of great inner work involving unifying polarities, oppositions, and paradoxes within oneself. So each of us are doing this work. So when I ask the world, this is what we're doing in the world. This is what is our past. You know, the past, present, future, they're kind of indistinguishable. It's all going on. So the universe card represents the experience of union with multiple parts of oneself. So there's this union taking place. And we can look at ourself as an individual separate from all the other selves, or we can see ourselves as part of a larger self. And whatever you want to make up about that, you're welcome to. So internal parts of ourselves, experiencing union with all parts of ourselves. That's what we've been working with over the past 27 years of this world cleansing. And the universe card symbolizes the unity of positive and negative forces, both internally and externally. And like the diamond-backed serpents, we are required to transform before we can experience new worlds internally and externally. So we need to go through a transformation. So we're going through that. And some of us are going like, I don't know any of them, but I'm sure there are some that are going, isn't this great? And then all the ones I know who are going through this transformation are like, wow, this is really difficult. This really sucks. I'm having the hardest time. I just don't know how much more I can do this. And that's okay too. Because I don't think there's any way out of this. I mean, I guess you could kind of exit, but I still think you're going to have to do your work. So you may as well do it while you're here. Okay, so that's the past. And then the night, so the present, so where we're at, and that's what we've been working with in the past, but we're still continuing to work with in the present, is the integrating the forces of separation, of good and bad, right and wrong, all these polarities, and oppositions, this feeling of opposition to our mate. No, I'm right. No, I'm right. No, you're completely wrong. The talking heads that you're listening to on your computer are wrong, and the talking heads that I'm listening to on my computer are right. All those internal, external dialogues, competitions, feeling of polarization as opposed to the polarity of the yin yang. We're working together with this. Well, we're just going to move on to currently. The energies, the present, the energies that we're working with. And there's the card. It's the Knight of Discs. And the Knight of Discs is working with the mastery of abundance and prosperity. So what is it that is abundance, and what is it that is prosperity, and how are we working with it? So the Knight of Discs demonstrates the capacity to manifest skills in the outer world in practical, observable ways. He is the harvester with his threshing tool in hand, is prepared to harvest that which he has cultivated. He is determined to achieve harvest in the areas of health and finances. The Knight of Discs represents the doctor or the healer in the deck. In the area of health, he monitors his diet, like the horse eating the grains, and in the area of finances, he creates and protects that which is financially necessary with his large coin shield. So the disc represents the shield, and it represents finance. The disc, yeah, represents finances. I believe. I'm not certain. The knight is a diagnostician. He has an antlered helmet. He determines what is necessary in order to manifest abundance. He is the manifester. His work is not abstract. This is a harvest that is the result of one's creative and diagnostic abilities combined. The creative aspect of manifesting harvest are represented by the lion's head, which appears on the knight's coin shield. So the Knight of Discs. So we can look at it. You can take those words and see if they mean anything to you. When I read those words and I think about, okay, this card is representing our present, which is the harvest. Now people can say, well, I'm not harvesting anything. The gas prices have gone up a ridiculous amount, and that's costing me a lot more to get anywhere. Food prices everything's gone up a ridiculous amount. I'm no longer able to work in the way I did with my finances. Everything's gotten so expensive. I can't afford these things. I have to make choices. And so what do you mean this is a time of manifestation? And again, let me remind you that this card represents manifestations in terms of our health and in terms of what we have and what we have to work with and how we work with it. So if you're not currently focused on your health and how to do things that enhance your health, then on some levels, good for you that you don't feel like you need to do that. But I don't know anybody else that doesn't feel like they need to really be focused on their health and focused on what they're eating and exercise and their thoughts and how their thoughts affect their body. So there's this aspect of health, and then there's aspect of utilizing what you have to the best of your ability. So that's the present. And then we go on to the future. And what is the future? What's the future that's coming? And the future is tomorrow. And we have one more year of the spiritual cleansing on the planet. It goes through March 23rd, 2025. So the future we got was the Five of Trumps. Now, the Trumps are the major arcana. So, this doesn't indicate that someone named Trump is going to be the next president. It just happens that the major arcana cards are called Trumps. And the Five of Trumps is the Hierophant. And the Hierophant in Egyptian times had to do with the balance masculine, feminine, and their creations. So in pre-Christian times, there was in Egyptian times. So this was pre-Christian. There was the central male figure was Osiris, and Osiris was the god of wisdom. And Osiris, his partner, and was female partner was Isis, and Isis was the god of intuition. And through their partnership, they had a child, and that child was Horus, the god of perception and vision, what we see and what we see as possibilities. And the Hierophant is the principle of learning and teaching. So there's this process that needs to go on. So one of the things that I have been thinking about and talking about, so I've had conversations with many people about my thoughts, and when even though I don't spend much time, if any, on listening to talking heads telling me the state of the world, what's going on, and where it's going on, I'm not finding that particularly useful, even though many people feel like there's things that I actually do need to know about. Well, you need to know about this, you need to know about this. And so I at times hear about these things that people feel like I need to know about. But what I feel like each of us needs to know about is that we can connect to the deepest part of ourself. Excuse me, I itch my ear. We can connect to the deepest part of ourselves, which I refer to as the deep self. And when we connect to the deep self and we go into the center of ourself, center of our being, we experience peace and calm. The more we experience that peace and calm, the more we radiate that into the world. So we have to make a decision at some point whether we perceive that what we do makes a difference. Like if we don't perceive that what we do makes a difference, then it doesn't really make any difference what we do. But if we perceive, I wish I had a pause button on this because I'm going to go grab something and I'll be right back. Okay, so I oftentimes work with teachers in the dream world. I work with teachers in the human world. I'd like to have things that I can do, that I can practice, that allow me to see the experience of my changing my consciousness and how it affects my life. So I'm going to read to you from one of my teachers. And he talks about how your beliefs can be like fences that surround you. So what you believe is like a fence that surrounds you. You don't go outside of that. And you must first recognize the existence of such barriers and see them, or you will not even realize that you're not free, simply because you will not see beyond the fences. They will represent the boundaries of your experience. So your beliefs keep you within these boundaries. So there is one belief, however, that destroys the artificial barriers to perception. An expanding belief that automatically pierces false and inhibiting ideas. and that is that the self is not limited. And spend as much time as you want kind of taking that in. That statement is a statement of fact. It exists regardless of your belief or disbelief in it. Following this concept is another. There are no boundaries or separations of the self. So any boundaries or separations of the self that you experience are part of your belief. So he starts off and he says, yeah, you can set up these boundaries and you don't go outside of those. But any boundaries that you set up, you're making up, because there are no boundaries or separations of the self. So these are not things that you have to believe, you can argue with me about. Just these are things that you can experience and see if you find them useful. And those that you experience boundaries are the result of false beliefs. Following this is the idea that has already been mentioned. You make your own reality. So you make your own reality based on what you believe reality is. And so if you say, well, the talking heads have spoken to me through my connection to the higher realm, which is my computer, and it connects me to the iCloud, where all true information, it connects me to YouTube, it connects me to Facebook, it connects me to all the places where I can get the truth of the universe through my computer, which is in some ways my God. To understand yourself and what you are, you can learn to experience yourself directly apart from your beliefs about yourself. So you can experience yourself apart from your beliefs, and we have them. What I'd like each reader to do is to sit quietly, close your eyes, and try to sense within yourself the deep feeling tones that I mentioned earlier. And this is not difficult to do. Your knowledge of their existence will help you recognize their deep rhythms within you. Each individual will sense these tones in his or her own way, so do not worry about how they should feel. Simply tell yourself that they exist, that they are composed of the great energies of your being made flesh. Then let yourself experience. Do not use any name like meditation. Free yourself from concepts and experience the being of yourself and the motion of your own vitality. You are not to use other people's criteria. The exercise will put you in touch with yourself. It will return you to yourself. Whenever you are nervous or upset, take a few moments to sense this feeling tone within you, and you will find yourself centered in your own being, secure. So this is a period of time to find yourself centered in yourself, to do your work of polarization within yourself, to resolve that self-polarization of arguing within yourself, and go to that place of your central core, go to that place of Osiris, the wisdom. There is wisdom in the head. The place of Isis, the intuition of the heart, and the awareness of their child Horus, who was the god of perception and kind of the future. So if we take wisdom, we take intuition, and we take our perception of the future, what are you seeing in the future? And is it based on your inner sensing, or is it based on what you have heard from other talking heads? And I think that's it for this. I've kind of gone on, and I'll be interested to watch this myself when I complete it, and see if it's useful to put out in the world as possible ways for you to find your deep self, be in your deep self, and change the world by living in a place of peace within yourself. So I, I've enjoyed doing this with you. I hope you enjoy doing this with me. And now let's go.